Hi everyone. This video is intended to show you how to install Xfoil on a Mac system. So Mac is a type of UNIX system, so a similar procedure would apply to other UNIX systems like Linux, and with minor tweaks. So let's get started by first downloading this software package from the Xfoil website. So looking for this Xfoil 6.99.tgz compressed file. Looks like we already downloaded it. And let's move on from the terminal side. And here we're at the main. Let's go to the download directory, and let's look for that file that we just downloaded. Xfoil 6.99. Yep, there it is. Okay, so let's first unzip that file by the following command: tar and xvzf is option Xfoil. All right, so now we unzip that file into a directory called Xfoil, and we get into that folder. So to move on to install it, basically, let's first look at what is inside this directory. So everything here is in the Xfoil directory. And to install Xfoil, we follow the README file here. So let's open that in some text editor. Here I'm using Sublime. And so essentially, let's go to the build sequence. That's how you build the or compile the source code to generate the executable. Okay. So the first step is build the ORS directory. So OR Summerfield database. So let's follow that procedure. So get into the ORS directory. So then follow directions in ORS README. Okay, there's another README file in this ORS directory. So let's open that. It's quite lengthy, but essentially we'll just be following this few steps here. So first, print working directory. Let's first get to know. Sorry, it should be lowercase. So our working directory is popped out in the command window now. And the first step is to actually modify a line or several lines in this OS map .f file. So this is actually a piece of Fortran source code. Let's do that. Oops, sorry, accidentally changed that lines. Okay. All right, so actually you can combine these two commands just by opening that file. So it's in the source directory under the ORS directory that we're currently at. We want to modify osmap.f. And so go to around line 100. This is where we want to modify. We want to modify this directory name, so this path name for this osmap dp.dat file. Okay, and delete that and put in our actual file path name. Okay, cool. That's the first step. So this first parenthesis is checked. Then find the following lines, blah, 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 to change. So essentially, it's by setting whether we want to use a single precision or double precision. So around line 75, let's go to that. This is around line 75. So it looks like this few lines are already commented out. So in Fortran's the syntax, things after C are commons. And like lines without C in the beginning are actual codes. So this line 81 is an actual code. So we're actually using a native or double precision setting in our case, since the single precision is already commented out. So nothing that we need to do in this case. Okay, so the second step is checked. And let's go to line 39. So go back to the bin. Go to the bin of the ORS directory actually. So we're currently at the ORS directory. So let's go to bin. Edit the Makefile there. Let's open the Makefile. Makefile is basically a set of commands that instructs how to basically compile the source code. Essentially, it sets the kind of specifications on how you want to compile the code. And several things that we need to change here. Actually the only one that I find necessary as of the README file instruction is to basically change this set of compiler flags given here. So there are default compiler flags like this, and compiler flags for Intel Fortran compiler. But in general, people have like G-Fortran, for example. In my case, I have like a G-Fortran compiler. You can check whether you have that by in the command line terminal. Do a which G-Fortran, and it tells you like, well, there's a G-Fortran there. If the return is empty, then you probably want to install G-Fortran. And in the Mac system, you can install G-Fortran using brew. Or homebrew. The full name is homebrew, but the command line is essentially brew, and you search for G-Fortran, and it will look up G-Fortran, and you can install from there. Okay. And so essentially back to the installing Xfoil. On the right-hand side, inside the Makefile, we set these compiler flags. You can comment out the previous ones, or otherwise, I mean, it will be overwritten by this set of GNU Fortran compiler or G-Fortran flags anyway. So here, in particular, this little flag here is in setting double precision, and we want to change the plot lib flag from the Linux setting given in the original code to a setting that is applicable for Mac, at least in the case of my system. So, oh, by the way, my Mac system currently, the current version is 10.15, and you want to set this plot lib to the Mac one. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Since we're only going to be building this OSGen, in the later parts of this Makefile, it also requires other variables to be set correctly. For example, plot object. And if you don't set that, that's fine. I don't find that to be a particular problem, but you can always change that. For example, you can comment that out. In my case, the proper path should be like this, and this particular file, this .a file, will be generated later after we build the plot object. It's currently not there, but it will be built afterwards. Okay, and this particular change, line 4, is not essential. Okay, now we have finished changing the Makefile for the ORS directory. Let's go back to see what the instruction is. So we've edited the Makefile. Then we need to make OSGen like this. So make OSGen. Okay, so you see that it's kind of calling G-Fortran to compile the source files with particular settings there. And the next step is make osmap.o. Make osmap.o. There we go. Okay, go back to the previous directory and run this command. So basically, it's running OSGen on this file. Okay, so far we have kind of completed all the instructions in terms of building the executables for the ORS directory. Let's go back to the main instruction for Xfoil. Let's kind of close all the previous files that we opened. So now we're moving to the second step. So building plot library in plotlib. So first of all, in the command window, let's go back to the Xfoil directory. Let me slightly bigger. Yep. Okay, so go to, let's see, where are we now? Oops. Sorry, accidentally go back to the my main directory. let's see, downloads. Let's go back to Xfoil directory. So now we're at the Xfoil directory. And let's get into the plotlib directory. And we need to edit the Makefile therein. Okay. And by the way, there is another read. So if we list all the files in this directory, it's kind of a lot of files here. And there is a particular README file, and you can open that README. So it's basically instructions for how you handle things inside this plotlib. So how to compile this library. You can follow these steps, but in a nutshell, what I would do is, first of all, you want to copy the configuration file for the make process, and you want to copy, since we have a Gfortran compiler, and you want to do a double precision, so we copy this to replace the config.makefile. Okay, and then we need to change the config.makefile. And actually, let me open the Makefile here as well. So scrolling down, you will see that the Makefile here in the plotlib directory will include the config.makefile. So it will using settings that being specified in the config.makefile. Okay, that's why we want to change the config.makefile in the first place. So everything here is fine, and all we need to change is the C flags and the link lib to suit Mac. Let's try to do that. So the C flags here are for Linux. So we want to comment that out. And the link lib is for Linux as well. So we want to replace that with the correct one for Mac. Okay, so changing C flags and link lib. Okay, this completes the config file. And in the make file, I believe we don't need to change much, but I think there's one little thing that, let's see. Yeah, it's fine. So the plotlib file name, library name is being set here in the config make file. So it's kind of overwriting the variable in the make file, since the config file is included after that variable assignment. Okay, so all right, nothing to change in the rest of the make file. And what we need to do is essentially just click make here, or make install. Let's do make install in the command window. You could ignore the warnings as long as there are no errors. You should be fine. Oops, I think for some reason we have this file already. And interesting. Let me make clean just to make sure that we're starting from scratch. So let me do make instead. Okay, great. Yeah, no errors. So you're good to go. Even though there are a few warnings, you can ignore them. Then just to make sure that everything is set up correctly, you can do make test. It will basically run like a few commands to check that the build is correct. Let's do make test. Okay, no errors. So things should be fine now. Okay. So I think we're all set with the plotlib installation or compilation. So we have built the plotlib plot library. Notice that this is slightly different from the commands in the README file. So README file is slightly outdated. So I guess that's why we need to kind of create this video to help people install Xfoil. All right, so moving on to the third step and the last step. So let's go back to the Xfoil directory. So we want to go to the binary directory of being under the Xfoil directory. So currently we're under this directory. And we want to edit the Makefile therein. So this is the third and last Makefile that we need to change. Let's check. We want to be installing the Xfoil executable in the current directory, meaning this downloads Xfoil binary directory. And plot object here, that's one thing we need to change. You might have noticed the pattern. Plot lib, this is a Linux setting. Let's replace that with the Mac setting. And scroll all the way down, and this is using the G Fortran. And these lines unfortunately needs to be changed as well, and it's pretty esoteric. So basically, this is setting the double precision, which is pretty much on most modern computers, I think. And there's one little thing that is not that trivial is you need to add a fix to this. So this is to fix some legacy issues for the Fortran compilers. So the code has been what was written like a long time ago, and the Fortran compiler has evolved. The language has evolved, so it's no longer supporting some of the features from previous versions of the language. So basically, you need base flag standard equals legacy. So basically, it's fixing input-output incompatibility issues, which will create like runtime errors with newer version of the compiler. So this is required at least for like Mac version 10.15, which is the one that I'm using right now. Otherwise, you will get compiling errors as well. So you want to be able to even get to the runtime. So the compilation will fail outright. And actually, let's see what that error is like without putting in this fix. And everything else at this point should be fine. And let's go back to the README. So we added the Makefile. Need to make Xfoil, make ppplot, make pxplot. So first make Xfoil. Source code is being built. So you see this error. So I mean, this error is pretty esoteric again. And this can be fixed by setting the this flag in the Makefile. And you need to kind of use that fix variable here. So in the F flag, so Fortran compiler flag. And I think I have another setting that goes like this. So yep. And if we go back, make clean, just clean any clutter, and make Xfoil again. Great. You see this time, previously, those compiling or compiler errors now just become warnings. So instead of errors, so error will prevent you from continue to build, whereas the warnings are not kind of substantial in this case. So the next object to build is make ppplot. Oops. All right, and make pxplot. All right, I think we have built everything. So these are all the steps that we have in Xfoil. So let's actually like just follow the kind of the routines here. Let's not running the binary files under this directory. So if we list out, there's this Xfoil object that has been built, or it is an executable. You can just open it. But let's go back to the run folder, where you actually will run things. So let's actually call or execute the Xfoil. And one other notice is that in Mac system, you need to have Xquartz installed and opened before you actually run Xfoil. So here, you want to open Xquartz and have that opened first, and then you run Xfoil command. Otherwise, I think the graphics or the plotting functionality will break and will kind of just shut down the software. So now we're in Xfoil. You're almost good to go. Several quick check. Just make sure that all the plotting are done right. So at least on my computer, I can just do things normally, no big problem. So this is just sanity check. So let's try another like a simple airfoil. and look at the airfoil. So this is the airfoil that I'm choosing. And let's say if I want to do some viscous simulation, Reynolds number 1E5A0. Okay, so you have all this solution, which is good. And another thing that we can try is go back to see the window. Okay, go back to the main window. Let's go to the design mode. This will pop up the different window here. Let's try the flap. 0.8, location is 0. Deflect at 10 degrees. You'll see, well, the flap is being deflected. Okay, and the reason why I try like this demo, like in the geometric design interface, is because previously I found that if I don't do the compilation or the build process for the Xfoil completely right, I can do the viscous analysis, that's fine. But as soon as I get into the geometric design mode, then whenever I want to change the, for example, this flap deflection, the code will just kind of runs, hits a kind of segmentation fault and kind of just terminates. So I think there was some build error in the previous version that I had. So, this, if you follow the procedure we have done in this video, then you won't run into that problem. Okay, all right, so you're all good to go. Good luck and have fun with Xfoil. And on the final note, I want to just kind of add a few words to the end of this video. So I think Xfoil is, in my opinion, is a really good, great tool for aerodynamic and airfoil design and analysis. So I guess that's why it's probably worth all the efforts that we went through in this video to install Xfoil onto our machine, especially on the Mac or a Linux system. I know it's not straightforward at all for amateurs, and even for me. I mean, I had quite a bit of a trouble to get the entire build process correct. So I hope you take comfort in seeing me struggling in this video or in previous attempts. So. But on the other hand, this is a useful kind of knowledge or skill to have. So the similar build concept or process applies to building or compiling other software from scratch or from the source code. So I hope this video is helpful for you in terms of installing Xfoil and like building some building software from or compiling software from source code from scratch in general. And I'll stop here. Again, enjoy Xfoil.